And we're learning more about the 11 people killed in a synagogue massacre over the weekend. Our David Begnaud is in Pittsburgh with a doctor who performed triage at the scene. David, what can you tell us?
Tanya, I just interviewed Dr. Keith Murray, who is the medical director for the Pittsburgh SWAT team. And it was the most sobering and chilling interview I have done since we got here. And I wanted you to hear from him. I wanted the CBSN viewers. So I've asked Dr. Murray, who has to leave fairly soon, to stay with us for a moment to share his story. Dr. Murray, if you'll step in. Dr. Murray is a father of 3. He works at the local hospital here, and he also is the medical director for the SWAT team. I'd like to start with the moment actually. The call came in. You were at home, your kids were getting ready for a Halloween party.
Correct.
What'd you get? What did it say? What'd the page say?
So again, yeah, I mean, standard Saturday morning, I'm trying to wrestle my 3-year-old into his little costume, and my phone goes off. You know, it's an active 911 alert, and I look down. I think it said multiple dead, officer shot, active shooter situation.
You get in your car. You dress up just like the SWAT guys do. Kevlar helmet, bulletproof vest. You've got a weapon. You can shoot if you need to. You don't have lights and sirens.
Correct.
Tell me about the rush to get here.
You know, I mean, active shooter situations, they unfold rapidly, 6 to 8 minutes. Unfortunately, I know that I'm about 18 minutes away from the actual location. So yeah, I throw on my flashers and I drive here as fast as possible, as safe as possible.
All right, so you get here, you make entry into the building. One of the first things you have to do is team up with a buddy, right? Because you need somebody to have your back as you're looking for people who are wounded, civilians and officers. Tell me about the moment you actually walked into the sanctuary, if you will.
Yeah, so after we were done clearing one section of the synagogue, actually, we were coordinating with the other elements of the SWAT team, and we were punching into the structure, and that's when we came across the sanctuary. After we, looked for the actor, ensured that the area was safe for that moment in time, then we started to assess the sanctuary itself. We came across 5 bodies, did a remote assessment, and then approached them, identified that 4 were deceased, and actually the 5th one was not moving at the time, but once we encountered her, started to interact with her a little bit, we realized that she was shot, she was in shock, and she was simply holding on to her deceased friend.
The people who were deceased, did it appear as though they had any indication of what was about to happen?
No, I think unfortunately this was just 4 people who were coming to their synagogue to pray, to gather with friends. I believe they were facing forward, looking at their rabbi, and the actor probably just walked up behind them and just started shooting.
And you found them dead in their chairs?
Correct. When
you refer to an actor, that's just police terminology for the gunman.
Yes, probably just so we can dehumanize them and just kind of we'll use whatever sort of terminology we need to form.
You told me earlier there was an eerie hush over the building.
Yeah, again, I mean, you're walking into this place of worship, the sanctuary. It's aesthetically beautiful. There's this calm, there's no shooting going on. And you have to kind of reconcile that image with the fact that you're now looking at 4 dead people, 1 injured individual. And it's just, a scene you really never want to see.
When you left the sanctuary, you started to hear what you described to me as like somebody knocking, and it turned out to be automatic gunfire. Tell me about the moment you realized one of your own, a law enforcement officer, had been shot.
Yeah, so this was probably about 5-10 minutes later. We continued to advance through the structure. We were on the 2nd floor. I was with a bunch of my tactical EMS cadre. We had established a casual collection point because we knew we were getting closer to the gunman. At that point, part of my breaching element went to the 3rd floor, and we believed that we found the room that the actor was hiding in. And initially we heard knocking, and we thought it was simply our breachers trying to knock down the door. Then the knocking became more rapid, more intense, and then it just kind of magnified from there. And that was actually our officers getting to a gunfight with the individual.
So the one officer gets wounded, he goes down. Mm-hmm. How are you able to make entry into the room? What transpires?
Yeah, so I mean, it was our number 1 operator into the room. He was the one who took the most gunfire. He actually went down straight there. So our number 2 guy simply stepped over him and used himself as a shield and started to engage the enemy. And also at that time, we were able to put 2, 3, 4 operators into the room so they could actually just use overwhelming firepower against this individual. At the same time, other officers were pulling our injured officer out of the room.
I know when you finally got to him, they had taken his helmet off, his bulletproof vest. He was sort of down to his clothes, and you were taking them off. How badly wounded was he?
I mean, we knew automatically he had some pretty life-threatening injuries. automatically identified that he was shot at least once in the head. He had 2 gunshot wounds to his left arm. He had multiple gunshot wounds to his lower extremities. He didn't look well. So just kind of this overall feeling that this is going to go bad potentially.
You finally got him out of the building. Tell me about the moment when you try to extricate him from the building, realizing you not only have to get him out safely, but you got to make sure you don't get shot getting from the 3rd floor to the door.
I mean, again, yeah, we're always trying to mitigate risks, but at some point you're going to have to take some sort of risk. So, yeah, we're going to take a stretcher between the sanctuary, the synagogue itself, and the ambulance that was waiting outside. So we just kind of communicated with the outside guys, made sure that we had some lethal coverage looking up towards the gunman, and we just went for it.
What haven't I asked you that you want to add? What do people at home need to know?
I mean, just watching the bravery of the SWAT team, my tactical EMS cadre, they were amazing under fire. They did exactly what they were trained to do. It was impressive to watch, and there's no doubt in my mind that 2 people are alive today because of them.
Thank you for your service, and thank you for your courage.
You're welcome.
And thank you for talking to us. Tanya, we'll toss it back to you.
David Begnaud and Dr. Keith Murray, thank you for that testimony.